been sitting here waiting for you.
And welcome back to Record. I'm your host, Anthony Totera, and I had a chance earlier today, just after training, to speak with the MLS Player of the Week, Justin Morrow of Toronto FC. Have a listen. See Justin Morrow. Justin, welcome, my friend.
Hey, Anthony, thanks for having me.
Hey, pleasure's all mine. Congratulations. What a game it was for you. A lot of times we always talk about team and team first, and that's great to do. But this time, let's talk about Justin Morrow and how confident he felt in that game to put in a couple goals for his squad.
Yeah, it was a good game, man. It was nice to get the victory in the end by a nice margin. I think our performance improved as the game went on. That showed in the second half when we were able to pull away and score some goals.
Justin, you show composure when you're in that box. So when you go on that offensive threat that you like to do down those flanks, you're composed, you're relaxed. How did you get that in you? How is it instilled? Because let's be honest, guys in your position, when they're in that situation, they tend not to do the right thing.
I think the composure comes from my teammates. You know, I watch guys like Seba and Josie. I see what they do. They get lots of chances to shoot every game. I only get a couple of chances every game, you know. So I just try and make my mind up from the beginning when I'm going to shoot and when I'm going to pass. And when I decide I'm going to shoot, I'm going for it. Justin,
there's a different look to you this year since game one. There's a different look to the team. There's a different swagger. There's a different mindset. Obviously, we know what took place last year, the last game on home field. But there's something different about this squad that I can't pinpoint. There's a harmony, there's a responsibility, but there's also a hunger to get it going once the playoffs start to wrong the right.
Yeah, I think it's a mentality more than anything. We know the type of year that we had last year. We came in, we decided that we wanted to improve upon that year during the regular season. I think we've done that. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to fight over these last 11 games or so to build momentum to go into the playoffs and make sure we give ourselves the best chance to win MLS Cup.
Justin, I've never seen a team with the depth of your team. I've been following MLS since day one, and I've never seen a bench like this. In my opinion, many of those guys can start and play a full 90 on a lot of the teams and really not look out of place. How good is that? For a guy like you and all the starters on the bench, if you're having an off day or maybe you get a little nick, a little bruise, you got to go off, that it's a relaxed feeling knowing someone's coming in there, they're going to get that job done.
I think, as you said, the depth is so important for us. You look around the world, not only in MLS, but in other leagues as well, the best teams have players that can come off the bench and contribute, you know, whether it's one person starting one week, another person starting the next week, you know the level's not going to drop, and that level of competition within the team raises the overall competition in terms of going against other teams, and you're able to know that no matter who's on the pitch, you're going to get the job done.
Justin, we're starting to see now, finally, after the last number of years, teams have been trying to instill identities on their teams. I love what FC Dallas is doing. I'm really enjoying their style of play. We're starting to see the style of play from different teams like, Montreal or, Red Bulls, on and on. They're starting to instill an identity. We see it with Chicago, Dax McCarty, Bastian Schweinsteiger, and the new head coach there the last couple of years who's instilled an identity. Head coach Greg Vanney has that identity with you guys, and it's an offensive one, I believe. How good is that, knowing that your coach believes in you guys going full out each game instead of putting a brick wall?
Yeah, Greg has always been offensive in nature, but I think one of the most important things Greg brings to the table and has instilled with us is a diversity to play in a number of different ways depending on the situation. I think we're pretty good at changing our dynamics in the game. You know, if we realize that a game is demanding more of one thing, then we change to that, whereas, teams might be a little bit more rigid that aren't able to do that. I think that's a great weapon for us.
Justin, I feel that there's still another gear. I believe that there's another gear. I believe that you guys still can take care of some odds and ends and really make sure that you start fresh and quick in most games and not lose lapses like some games you've done this year, very few. And so once I believe you get into that another gear, I believe you guys are untouchable.
You know, we're very demanding of ourselves. The amount of pressure that the fans put on us, you know, they're there supporting us every game. We know that we want to do well for the fans, but most importantly, we demand excellence of ourselves. And so I think we will get better because we're demanding that of ourselves. We will look at all the loose ends, as you said, things that we can tighten up the screws going into these last couple of games. You know these games are going to be harder. You know other teams are fighting for their jobs. They're fighting for that playoff spot. So we know the games are going to be tougher. And to make an impact in the playoffs, we have to be sharp in every aspect of the game. And so that's what we have to do.
Justin, you talked about the supporters. I'm born and raised here in Toronto, followed the game ever since I can remember as a little boy going to games back in the North American Soccer League days, Canadian Soccer League days, but I've never seen supporters like this. I get out of the press box Saturday night to see that unveiling of the Greg father, and I couldn't stop smiling but also laughing to say to myself, if Toronto isn't the number one market in all of MLS, then I don't know who is. Talk about those supporters.
Oh, they're amazing. You know, they keep us going, coming home, knowing after a road game that we get to come home and play in the best, like you said, the best atmosphere in MLS. To play in BMO, a great stadium, with these fans, it's incredible to have them at your back, and it really pushes us forward.
So for the last year and a half, Justin, I've been yelling and screaming, shaking my head, banging my fist on this desk here and saying to myself, why, oh why, the former coach, Jurgen Klinsmann, and then even Bruce Arena wouldn't call up Justin Morrow. Finally, you get called up. Thank God for that, because I was beginning to wonder what was in the water at the offices there at U.S. Soccer. Bruce calls you up. A Gold Cup winner. It's got to be great to play for your country, but also finally to be acknowledged that, yes, I can play with the big boys and I belong.
Yeah, it's something that I've wanted for a long time in my career, is to be with the national team. To finally get that chance again after a couple of years being away, it meant everything. To win a trophy was special, and then to win a trophy with my teammates here at TFC with the national team, with Michael and Josie, that was a special moment as well.
Justin, talk about the family atmosphere with this club. Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, the owners, all they've ever done is write the checks, keep their mouth shut. Larry Tannenbaum and the board, all they've ever wanted was a winner. They've never spared any cost in any area at all. Bill Manning, for me, is a top executive in all of U.S. and Canada in sports. Greg and Tim, they've done a fantastic job. But talk about also living in this city the last couple of years, living in this country of Canada. What does it mean to you? What do you love about it?
You know, I didn't know much about Toronto or Canada in general before I moved here, and I had my reservations, and anyone that I spoke to always spoke highly of Toronto. It's been amazing since I've lived here. The people have embraced me and my family, and that's the best part about it. You know, I always wanted to live in a big city, but I honestly tell that the most beautiful thing about this city are its people. They're so diverse, they're so welcoming, they're fun, they're lively, they get out. There's always something going on in the city, and no one's excluded. And
you feel comfortable? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel stress-free being able to walk the streets of Toronto, enjoy with your family?
Yeah, I definitely feel comfortable. Routinely, my wife and my daughter will go on walks throughout the city. We'll stop at parks. It's just a great atmosphere to be in the city.
Let's talk about the kids very quickly, and then we'll let you go. A couple other things. And the grassroots component. Obviously, growing up, there had to be some important people in your life, Justin, whether it was a coach, a sibling, a parent, someone that believed in you. And unfortunately, in the youth sports of soccer today, it's become big business, and a lot of times it's about the trophies, the wins, the losses, and a lot of times the kids on the benches get forgotten, but moms and dads keep writing those checks. What's the advice, Justin, you want to give to those coaches that think they're coaching in the World Cup, but also to that young boy or even young girl that's struggling with some confidence because they're on that bench and they want to be the next Justin Morrow?
Yeah, the advice I'd give to the coaches is to say that you're there to develop this talent and continue this game. You know, their job is a lot bigger than you. It's a lot bigger than money. It's all about the game, and it's all about the people that you're working with. We need to make an impact on each other's lives, make a positive impact on each other's lives, and help each other out as much as possible. Because you know what? In the end, the connection between people is the most important thing, and the things that you pass down, those will last forever.
And you have a big, big heart, and a faith plays a big role in your family and in yourself. How important is it to you, your faith, that when you're having a down day or maybe not such a great game, that faith is so important to you to fall back on?
Yeah, my family has been behind me throughout my career. My parents, my wife, my sister, my friends, those things keep me going. You know, my parents were here for the game this weekend. We were able to share a special moment after all of these years, them coming to watch me play soccer in so many different places. And my mom, I remember my mom driving countless hours to take me across the city to go to practice when I was young. So to be able to share that moment with them this weekend, where the team gets a good win and I'm able to score some goals, that was fantastic. Those are things you don't forget.
And things you don't forget as a parent myself with two boys is those wonderful rides, the early mornings, the tournaments, taking time off work, filling the gas tank. It doesn't matter to us as parents, Justin. All that matters is that you're healthy, happy, you got a smile on your face, living your dream. Your parents saw it. They must be absolutely over the moon, excited for you and your family. Last point I want to talk about before we let you go. Last night, I don't know if you got a chance, but Red Bulls and Cincinnati, the U.S. Open Cup, unbelievable. I couldn't stop smiling because the game has arrived in Canada and the U.S. of A. And to me, Ohio, again, as a parent, Justin, traveling to a lot of youth tournaments with my kids down there is an unbelievable untapped market, whether it's Cincinnati. I believe Cleveland, who I had many friends when they used to play with the Cleveland Crunch in the indoor season, Hector Marinaro Jr. I think that is a special market as well. Talk about that in Ohio as well.
Yeah, well, for the first time in my career over the summer, I was able to be a professional match with the national team in Cleveland. And to see the amount of support that's there, you know, the city does have soccer passion there, and so that was unbelievable for me to see that. Ohio in general is, as you said, it's underrated in terms of the amount of soccer that's going on there, the amount of talent that's coming out, and so it's a big state. And look, in general, in the United States, the sport is growing, and so just to see that last night in Cincinnati, to see a packed stadium, and see another new market pop up around the United States, that's the most important thing, you know. The way the sport is growing, it's going to be major in a couple of years, and even now it's unbelievable.
Justin, thank you so much for making time. Congratulations on the MLS Player of the Week. Good luck the rest of the way, and once again, we welcome you with open arms in the city of Toronto in Canada, and again, continued success.
All right. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
Justin Morrow, a guy that everyone loves in the city of Toronto, and a guy that has proven many people wrong, and many people keep until this day looking at him and saying, wow, look how he has grown. Justin Morrow of TFC. Great for him to join.
That you feel the way that I do. Why do things always change in my life? I just gotta rearrange.
I sell speed. I sell adrenaline.
Hey, I got enough trombone players in my band.
How are you, Jack? Everything all right? I love to shoot.
First, what you do is you pull your intestines out of your ass, and you tie them in a Windsor knot around your neck, and then you dump the jack.
You're a good man.
Make no mistake about it, I'm not a good man. But if you're my friend, and you're my brother, and you're loyal to me, you're gonna tell me first.
I'll put my Beretta to my own head and blow my brains out.
That's good. It's not.
Yeah, I'm just a guy that's really shy. And I really don't.
And welcome back to Red Card. I'm your host, Anthony Totera. Thanks again to Justin Morrow, MLS Player of the Week with Toronto FC. Justin, thanks so much for making time out of your busy schedule. So many requests after winning MLS Player of the Week. But right now, we go out to the Big Apple, New York City, with New York City FC's player and local boy, Kwame Awuah. Kwame, welcome, my friend.
Hey, Anthony, how are you?
Hey, very good. Great to have you on. Really appreciate you making time. Kwame, let's talk about that last big win against LA Galaxy. You guys were firing on all cylinders, and you guys looked like you were ready for the next challenge coming up against New England Revolution. Talk about it.
I mean, LA and New York derby is always a big thing in any sport because of the biggest franchises in major leagues. So just the whole platform of the game was already hyped from before we even got there, and just I think everyone was in the right mind state. Everyone was ready to play, and it showed on the field. And it was a great game, great atmosphere. Even though I wasn't able to play, just being there on the bench, cheering on my teammates, and getting to see a lot of legends play on the field at the same time was an amazing experience.
Kwame, you guys are sitting in second spot, 43 points. A lot of games still left. You're still on the heels of Toronto FC. What has Coach Patrick Vieira said to you and all of the boys? Game by game, obviously not to look ahead?
Yeah, I mean, he told us to take it game by game, to work hard every training session. How we train is going to reflect on how we play the games, and just to be ready tactically, each and every person, technically, tactically, physically, mentally, and he's just making sure that we have everything on point and the unit clicks. So, I mean, Toronto is ahead of us, and we know what we need to do to try to gain some points on them, and just hopefully some luck rolls our way too. Like, that's in soccer, you need luck as well. So, hopefully everything continues to click as it has been, and we just take it from there.
Let's talk about it. That special moment here in Toronto a few weeks ago, you get to enter the game. What was going through your mind? Obviously, the local boy here, family in attendance. It must have been unbelievable, some butterflies in your stomach. Give us all that was going through your mind.
I mean, any chance I get to play, like I try my best to prove to the coaches that I belong there and belong on the field and can play with the big boys. So, I mean, it was bittersweet because we obviously didn't get the result that we wanted. Kudos to Toronto they played really well and they were prepared for the game. But I mean, playing in front of all of my family members was amazing. You always dream of that when you're a kid. Obviously, it's not for the home team from where I grew up in, and I mean, they still cheered for me anyhow. So, just playing in front of them. My mom actually was the only one that wasn't there for my family members that are in Toronto. So, I mean, I guess she was watching from wherever she's in Ghana right now, so I guess she was watching from there. But it was really nice playing. It was 15 minutes, and I just tried to do my best, showing everyone that I could play there, and just definitely trying to play well for the people that are watching that are close to me back home.
Kwame, let's talk about Coach Patrick Vieira and what he looks in the training sessions in his players. Is he looking, obviously, at each and every player individually, how hard they're going, how focused they are, and how much they want to earn that spot, that starting spot? And if he sees that, does he reward his players?
Yeah, I mean, everything New York City goes about, they do it with professionalism, and everyone there is a really good professional. And it's like a family, so, I mean, yeah, we're fighting for spots at the end of the day, but we're trying to get each and every other person in our positions better. Even if we're not the first man up, just working hard ourselves is going to make the person that you're competing against work harder, so, and it shows on the field. Patrick, as everyone knows, he's a legend, and honestly, like, the way he played reflects his coaching style as well. He's very demanding, and everyone enjoys playing for him, and everyone can only say good things about him. Technically, tactically, he's done everything right to a T, and I feel like I'm getting better as a person and as a player.
To me, Kwame, he sounds and seems like the type of coach that if you're doing something good, he's going to tell you that he appreciates and he enjoys what you're doing good. If you're not doing something good or you're not getting the minutes you think you should, he will explain to you why. Maybe I'm wrong, but looking from the outside, he seems to be that type of coach. Give us an insight on how he goes about it.
Yeah, he's a very open coach. He tells us all the time at practice. He's like, when we're on the field, you got to do what he tells you and all that stuff. But if you have a problem with it, like, his door's open. You can always discuss anything, even if it's not even soccer related. You can discuss even like your minutes and stuff like that. And he'll tell you why, like what he wants from you, what you need to work on, and what you can do to keep your place in the team, what you can do to get more minutes. So, I mean, I've gone to him personally, of course, and like he's always been helpful. Always, and I'm still learning. I'm a rookie, of course, so I'm just trying to do my best to learn and get used to the game and get used to how he wants his team run.
Obviously, being a rookie, Kwame, in your first year in MLS, I'm sure that there's been a veteran, maybe one or two, that have taken you under their wing on and off the field. I'm sure they've helped you, in different cities, in different ways about how you have to go about this as a professional now. Who has that been? Has there been one or two guys or more that have really taken you under his wing on the road or even at home?
Oh, on my team?
Yes.
Oh, I mean, I really converse with Andrea Pirlo a lot. I would like to think that we're pretty close enough for me to ask him what does he think I need to work on. Of course, like when you're playing with someone like Pirlo, David Villa, even Maxi Morales, like there's so much you can learn from them. Those guys are World Cup winners, Euro winners, Champions League winners. So I talk to Andrea a lot, and he just tell me little things that I could work on, things that players that he's played with that I remind him of, and to just use my strength, what to do at the right times, use my strengths to cover my weaknesses. Is just like simple things that as a rookie you probably wouldn't realize, but I guess from the outside looking in, it's easier for someone to tell you.
I'm just listening to that, Kwame, and let's be honest here. After talking to Andrea Pirlo, David Villa, and digesting and soaking it all in, all that advice, you got to pinch yourself and say to yourself, wow, I mean, I'm sitting beside two legends in the world right here. They're listening to me. They're giving me advice. This is all I dreamed about. It's got to be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, even our coach, too, Patrick Vieira, people sometimes forget that he was probably the best modern-day six that has ever played for Arsenal and for France. So, I mean, learning from Patrick Vieira, playing with Andrea Pirlo, playing with David, even playing with guys that have been in the MLS for a long time that went through the same college system that I did. Like, when you go back and talk to them about, what they did at, places like Maryland, where they did, and other places, what they did when they were a rookie, and just getting to know what not to do, I guess using their experiences for your benefit at the same time.
Kwame, now, we don't like to look ahead, but let's look ahead. I know that you play New England your next game, but after that, you're at Red Bull Arena, the Derby against the Red Bulls, and what a game it was. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the U.S. Open Cup, Kwame, against Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. It was unbelievable. Cincy goes up a couple, and then boom, the Red Bulls put it in another gear, and what a game it was for the ages. Mm-hmm. But talk about the Derby. I mean, I love seeing some of the scenes and the walk-ups of both supporters and the atmosphere. It's all that you want. I mean, talk about what an unbelievable derby it must be to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, although New York City is only 3 years old, it feels like this derby has been going on forever because of the amount of times we've been playing them. But Red Bulls is a good team. We're a good team, and we have somewhat similar type philosophies. We both like to play, and I mean, the derby atmosphere is amazing. The last one was sold out. The fans came out and cheered their hearts out. I mean, without the fans, I don't think we would have been able to pull out that win. And obviously, David Villa's special hat trick. But the derby, honestly, even in preseason, when we played them in preseason in Arizona, it was amazing as well. Everyone takes it seriously. Even though you're not fully fit, everyone's going 150% on the field because we don't want to lose to each other. I think it brings out the best of us, and it brings out it makes the game, it expands the game in North America. It makes the game look a lot better, entertaining-wise.
Kwame, as a rookie in your first season, where have you enjoyed so far that you've traveled to? Which city have you really soaked it all in and said, "Wow, this is unbelievable"? Where have you liked?
We just came back from LA, so I think that's probably the best place I've gone so far. I mean, I've gone other places, obviously in college and stuff, but with the team in New York City FC, it's definitely LA because we got there a little bit earlier to get used to the time change and stuff. So we had some free time to ourselves, where we could walk on the beach, and then Yeah, it's amazing.
Kwame, let's talk about the city I love, the city that I love to travel to when I got time, New York City. On your off days and you've got some spare time, tell us a little bit about the time that you spend, in the travels and in that beautiful city, soaking it in and enjoying it all.
On my free time, if we finish practice around like 2 o'clock, I come home, definitely take a nap from working hard at training, and then I try to go down to the city because I know a couple of my teammates live there as well. And just, you can do anything in New York City. You can just walk around and boom, you can have fun. You can find something to do. You can go to Central Park. There's a lot of little places to eat. There's places where you can go, just like tourism kind of stuff. And our training facility is actually not in the city, but so it's like a 25-minute train ride, but it's still worth it. I mean, I don't have a car because I don't think a car is really needed in New York. So at this point, like, I think I've done a lot where it's basically like I probably know New York City like the back of my hand.
Kwame, I'm sure that there's a lot of former teammates of yours, whether at university or here in the Toronto area, that are in contact with you still. And I'm sure that they're picking your brain and they're asking you all sorts of questions on MLS and some of the styles of play and what they need to do that you've done to get where you're at. What do you say to them? How do you go about explaining, the different lifestyles, the different training methods, on and on? What do you say to them when they call you and say, hey, Kwame, I want what you got. What do I need to do more?
I think the first thing I would tell them is that they have to be mentally tough, because in college you can be playing every game nonstop for all 4 years, but just because you become a pro doesn't mean you're going to play right off the bat. You have to be able to handle that. You have to be able to know that there's people ahead of you. You have to be able to know that you're still learning. There's a huge learning curve, and you have to adjust to the game itself. And then you have to adjust to realizing that soccer is like no longer just soccer. It's a job as well too. And it's a fun job, of course, but like you're getting paid for your services, so you have to come with your A game every day. Even like there's going to be times where you have an off day, but working hard is the most important thing. Making sure that you're putting your work in, and extra work as well.
Kwame, when you look back growing up here in the province of Ontario, in the GTA, and you think about all the games and the tournaments and the training and the different coaches you had, what sticks out in your mind that really today you can use at the MLS level that has helped you out so much? Has it been a word that maybe a former coach has told you never to forget? Has it been a lesson, a life lesson that maybe a parent or a friend that you never forgotten and you've taken it with you to help you get through this journey?
One of my coaches, when I was playing for, I think it was Woodbridge, he told me, and I actually did tweet this out one time, it was, work hard in silence and the rewards will be public.
I mean, that's outstanding.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, Kwame, what's important is a lot of young Canadian kids are watching you. They're watching guys like Richie Laryea down in Orlando. They're watching guys that are playing in USL, Kyle Lauren, on and on. They're watching a lot of these guys, and they're looking up to you. And obviously the pressure and the stress of playing in MLS is huge for a young guy like you. But it's also got to be important to display to these other young Canadian kids all across Canada that it's possible. You look at Alphonso Davies, Russell Tibert in Vancouver, Samuel Piette tonight with Montreal Impact playing against Chicago Fire. This is what young Canadians and young boys should be looking up to.
Mm-hmm. I think that what everybody else is doing right now is really good. Guys like Raheem Edwards, even Jay Chapman at Toronto FC, Richie, Kyle, like those guys are some of my closer friends where I could talk to them many times a day. I mean, this is what we've all been working hard for. Some of us have different paths. Some of us have always been used to being the second guy. Some of us have never been called up to a national team until we actually became professional soccer players. Some of us haven't been called up to any youth national teams. You know what I mean? Like some of us were never rated until now. And I mean, it's tough to deal with as a kid where you know, like, you can compete with some of the guys and you just don't get the credit. But, I mean, at this point, it's you work hard or go home. So I think that's the mentality with a lot of the guys. And now that we've reached a certain part, like, I feel like the guys, like I said, Jay, Chad, Richie, and stuff like that, we're not satisfied. We want to keep going, especially because we're playing, like, Orlando has Kaká, and then New York City has David Villa and Pirlo, and then Toronto FC has Bradley, Giovinco. We've seen what those guys have done, like, and we want to reach their level. So I think that's another big thing that will help the young guys in Canada, just never being satisfied.
Absolutely. And I think of Raheem Edwards, it puts a smile on my face. League One Ontario, the journey that he has made to get to where he's at, and it's outstanding. And I've always said this, and I'll say it to you and other Canadian players. If you're given the shot, do everything you can, take it all in, but make the most of it, because you won't get another shot, unfortunately, because you're Canadian. And that's what unfortunately happens a lot of times playing down south. But if you're given that shot, take it, embrace it, give it all you got. And I believe that you can play with all sorts of other players from all parts of the world, Kwame.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, I think that taking your opportunity, especially as a young guy, is very vital to start your to jumpstart your career. And there's always room for improvement. Obviously, as you're a young guy, you're prone to making more mistakes because you're not used to the league or whatever it may be. But I mean, the guys, they have definitely taken their shot, and I mean, it's just, you can only go up from here.
Kwame, talk about the club, New York City FC. How have they treated you and your teammates? Are you out there in community events amongst a lot of the youth clubs and academies, charity events? Talk about all that in your first rookie season.
I mean, New York City is one of, like, the most community active clubs. I mean, I think we're up for some type of community achievement award, actually. But from day one, the first day at the draft combine before the draft, when I met Patrick Vieira, just to meet Patrick Vieira as a fan, I asked him to take a picture, and since then, he invited me for a coffee the same day. And I was like, whoa, like, Patrick Vieira asked me, like, oh, like, we should go get coffee or something like that. Like, it's kind of starstruck. And since when they had an interview with me before the draft, when they were looking into picking me up, and then they're just they really want to get to know you as a person and see how you would fit with everyone else that they already have. And I think from day one, they really took into consideration not only how I am playing soccer, like how a player is, but I think they believe that you got to know the person before the player, and I think that's an important thing. And so since the beginning, I mean, they've taught me a lot of new things. I've seen my game develop. Like, I've gone back to play, like, pick up, like, for fun with some of my college friends, and they've even told me, like, honestly, you've only been with New York City for 2-3 months, and, like, you can see the difference already. So, I mean, it's good things to hear, and it's good to see that what I'm learning at New York City is really coming to fruition, and I just got to continue from here and just keep working.
Outstanding. Kwame, just before we let you go, I want to expand a little bit about what you talked about. You're a professional athlete. You're playing in the top league in North America, MLS. As you've said, this is a full-time job. You have to take care of your body. Your mind has to be focused, and even in your time that you have away from the pitch must be used wisely. What's the advice you want to give to the youngsters out there if they want to get to where you're at? Because you talked about this being a 24/7 responsibility and a job.
Yeah, I mean, you have to take responsibility for yourself. I mean, you have to take care of your body. You have to know what to do and when to do it. If you're feeling a little bit sore, you don't just sleep. You have to be proactive. And I think that's the most important thing, like being proactive in everything you do, making sure you do the extra core work before you go out, or making sure you stretch before you go out to training or bike or whatever you need to do. Making sure, and you have the perks of getting massages too, so making sure you go on the massage table. Even though you're a rookie, you make sure you go last, but making sure you do those little things which can help you extend your career and help you play at a higher level. And just making sure you're always focused it's only an hour and a half, and that's what I always tell myself. It's like, okay, I need to lock in and work hard for an hour and a half, then I have the rest of the day to do whatever I want to do.
Now, I forgot to ask you, Kwame, have the veterans taken you out for dinner, or have you picked up the tab for some of the veterans on the road for a dinner?
I mean, the only time, we've only been out for a dinner a couple of times, and the team has paid for it, so, I mean...
And that's the way it should be. I agree. I love that because I never liked this. Why should a rookie have to fork over, especially he's not making the money like the veterans, some hard-earned money to take out the boys. I'm glad that you said the team does that. Kwame, listen, it's been a pleasure having you on. I got to tell you, a lot of people are cheering you on up here in Toronto to see you have great success with New York City FC. And so have a great rest of the year. And I love to see you have the success you had continuously, not just for this year, but for many, many more years. And especially wearing that red jersey for Canada one day, it would be fantastic. Kwame, thanks again for making time, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate being on.
That is a class act. Kwame Awuah of New York City FC, soft-spoken, big heart, great career ahead of him, and a guy that a lot of people know in this area, in the greater Toronto area. So great to have him on. Commercial break, and here we'll wrap it up after this commercial break, right here on Red Card.
Why?